Brandon Johnson just got publicly exposed by his own staff for ruining the city of Chicago. Make sure you watch till the end because this is absolutely diabolical. The city's treasurer exposes that Brandon Johnson has brought Chicago to the brink of economic collapse. She blows a hole wide open in his lie that Chicago is safer than it's ever been and reveals that the city is actively stealing money from Black and Hispanic homeowners. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel, but we're gonna start with this first clip where she proclaims the city's basically doomed.
Look, this city needs a long-range plan to figure out how to bring business back and keep residents here. You can't have a mentality where people are saying, I gotta get out of here. Where the owner of the Drake Hotel says, I got to get out of here. Or the owner of the Westin Hotel says, I got to get out of here. Or someone who works for me has a one-bedroom apartment and says to me, hey, look, you know what? My assessments and my taxes are higher than my mortgage. How can I have a one-bedroom apartment when it's costing me $4,500 a month to live there? I'm better off to rent. So we need to come to some conclusion about what we're going to do about the fact that this bill, 60% of, or 60 to 65% of it is going to public schools. 60 to 65% of it is going to public schools. We need to rethink how we're funding our government. And the $600 million that I talked about that's driving the city up, we're gonna have to reduce our spending. We're gonna have to tighten our belts and everybody's gonna have to suffer a little bit. Or if there's an increase, people are gonna have to feel like they're getting something for it. Because I'll give you an example. Maybe people won't mind paying an extra $50 if they could walk their dog at night without feeling like they're getting mugged, right? Or having a gold chain ripped off their necks. I think if people felt safe, they wouldn't mind paying a little bit more. But they don't have that feeling right now. There's a pervasive feeling of fear with regard to crime.
But wait, I thought J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson told me that Chicago was the safest place in America. Donald Trump wanting to send in the National Guard was completely unwarranted because they have everything under control there, despite a mass shooting just occurring at the Christmas lighting ceremony in downtown, where a bunch of teenagers whose races shan't be discussed because that would be racist, obviously, shot at each other in the middle of a crowd, killed one kid, and injured a bunch more. But ever since Brandon Johnson brilliantly doubled the property taxes, it's no longer politically expedient to cover for his incompetence. The treasurer can see it right there on the spreadsheets. Businesses are leaving because of rampant crime and lawlessness, anti-police policies coming from City Hall, and an extremely unfriendly business environment coming from the city's socialist mayor. But here she reveals just how badly those anti-business policies hit downtown and why that enormous tax burden got shifted to the residential area.
When you have a commercial base like we have in the city of Chicago, and behind me are all these amazing commercial buildings, banks, law offices, and they are a third empty, their taxes are going to go down, and we've seen their taxes go down by $3 billion. Somebody has to pick that up. So the people who are picking it up are the residences and the people who are still living here. But fact of the matter is that a lot of the commercial buildings are going down. I'm going to give you an example. Westin Hotel just sold. Owner Westin Hotel said, I'm out of here. That building sold for over $200 million a few years ago. And the selling price on it recently was $71 million. Oh. So we have an issue with what's happening with the businesses in the city, because if they don't feel that it's viable and they don't feel it's a friendly place to do business where they're not killed on property taxes, they're going to exit, and you're going to experience what people are feeling, which is called the I'm out of here syndrome. And businesses are feeling I'm out of here. They're dealing with this head tax at the city right now. And the issue is, will that drive more businesses out? And we don't know, but that's the fear.
Yeah.
That's what they're right now.
But are the suburbs seeing this increase?
Modestly, because it is the city that got reassessed this year, not the suburbs. The suburbs are on caps, so they're like 4%, 5%.
So Brandon Johnson, the proud black mayor of Chicago, raised the property taxes in the suburbs by 4% and raised them on the black community by 100%. Thanks to Brandon Johnson, Chicago is in the middle of a death spiral. When businesses leave, that means less tax revenue coming from them. It also means the loss of those jobs, which is less tax revenue for the city. But more unemployment also means more people on city welfare, which raises costs for the city. And so the mayor is trying to squeeze even more money out of businesses to cover that shortfall. And all that's going to do is lead to more businesses leaving, more jobs being lost, even less tax revenue for the city, and even more costs for the city. And they'll likely have to make cuts to the racist police department, which will lead to more crime and more businesses leaving, and so on and so forth. And the funny thing is, the city could save a ton of money if they just decided to stop giving free welfare to all of the illegal aliens there. But they almost can't at this point because it would create a humanitarian crisis. What happens when 100,000 illegals stop receiving welfare they used to survive? It would lead to mass homelessness, people freezing out on the street, probably a huge surge in shoplifting, which would expedite the business exodus. There are really no good solutions here. So I guess that's why the city thought it was a good idea to steal $78 million from homeowners. Take a look at this.
Look at this. This bill right here. You owe $2,360. You're slightly dyslexic. You read the bill and you read it as $3,200, and that's what you send me. So now you've overpaid. My computer will tell you if you've overpaid, what year going back 20 years. We're sitting on $78 million worth of overpayments. My computer will tell you, you apply online, you can get your money back within 4 to 6 weeks. We have a radio show running called Black Houses Matter on VON every Monday at 11:30. We have given back $400 million to African Americans who simply don't know that they're entitled to these exemptions and refunds. And now we're doing Latino Houses Matter. We've given back over $200 million. They don't understand the exemption process.
They are literally stealing people's money and hoping that they don't ask for it back, and purposely exploiting Black and Hispanic residents who they think are too stupid to know they can ask for it back. The Democrats are so racist with their bigotry of low expectations. Black people don't even realize that these special radio shows to teach you about home exemptions, or special grants to help out Black-owned businesses, or lowered standards to get into college are all just different ways for racist liberals to show that they pity us. She started that whole clip by saying, maybe you're a little bit dyslexic and that's why you sent us too much money. And then clarified that she was indeed talking about Black and Hispanic people because that's why they offer specific radio shows to educate us. The only people that believe in white privilege and white superiority are the liberals. They think Black people need to be infantilized and coddled and given preferential treatment. Otherwise, there's no other way in their Black DNA that they can compete with white people. And Republicans are over here saying, no, we think Black people are the same as white people, actually. And they are perfectly capable at succeeding without any special governmental interference. And Democrats call Republicans racist because we refuse to see Black people as having some sort of learning disability based on their skin color. But here's where she says Black people should actually be mad at themselves for their property taxes doubling by allowing an idiot like Brandon Johnson to get elected as their mayor.
Incidentally, we did a study a few months ago that shows that African Americans and Latinos, residential, do not appeal their property taxes. Less than a quarter of the residences appeal their taxes. So this person probably, who went from $900 to $2,300, didn't appeal. Probably did not appeal because they don't know that they can appeal.
Well, but of course you've come on our show before and talked about appealing them. And when you talk about the fact that it's Black and brown neighborhoods that are hit the hardest versus, not seeing Black and brown people at the polls is what you're saying.
Yeah, they don't vote. They don't vote. But in these neighborhoods, what's happened is, I'm going to use Englewood as an example. Englewood's like the new Lincoln Park. We have Hispanics coming to the counter every day and saying, you know what? What's available in Englewood? What's available in Englewood? They're going in, they're buying a piece of property or piece of land for $50,000. They're putting a home or reconstructing an older home on this property, and it's now worth $500,000. It's beautiful. You drive through Inglewood and you're looking around and you're saying, this is just gorgeous. So that home that was nothing, now worth 500,000, is getting taxed because they improved it. So a lot of these homes are being taxed because they're better, a nicer, and a more rehabbed place to live.
Yeah, but that's one of the things I guess we talked about with that founder on Friday is the catch-22 of improving your neighborhood.
You improve your neighborhood, and when the businesses aren't paying, you're going to have to pick it up. That's what's happening, and you could that's how the assessor, Kagi, ended up assessing these residences. He said, well, you know what? Commercial's going down. I'm going to drive residences up. And that's exactly what Kagi did.
Coincidentally enough, I kind of agree with her. 90% of black people have voted Democrat consistently for the last 60 years. And ever since they adopted the vote blue no matter who belief, their lives have gotten increasingly worse. So it would seem to reason you might want to give the other side a try. But the Democrat Party has got the black community so brainwashed into believing that the Republicans are racist, which is like the ultimate trigger word that invokes a primal disgust in black people, that they'll continue to vote for Lori Lightfoot or Brandon Johnson or whatever Democrat idiot comes next. So yeah, it's easy to say if black people would have just shown up and vote, Brandon Johnson wouldn't have been able to wreak havoc on the city. But black people haven't grasped that maybe it's the party and not the candidate that's the problem. Brandon Johnson is pushing the ideological agenda of elite white liberals and forcing the black community to pay for it. He is bankrolling a free middle-class lifestyle for all illegal aliens and placing the financial burden squarely on the black community. But Republicans are bad and evil for trying to get those illegal aliens out and free up resources for the black community. That's why I absolutely love the Chicago Flips Red ladies. I wish them the best of luck, and I hope that they can actually wake up the black community in Chicago. But I, like I'm sure they do, understand the immense challenge of trying to free other black people from the Democrat plantation. But not only did property taxes get doubled, but the notice actually came out 4 months late, giving homeowners only a 1-month heads up to pay this increased bill. And the treasurer reveals that was solely due to complete government incompetence.
Cook County Treasurer Maria Pappas is here with me now. Thank you so much for your time on this Monday.
How are you today?
Doing all right. But, you know, I got to wonder how people are feeling, those who have looked at their bills and they're trying to figure things out. Let's just start by addressing the wait time, first and foremost. So I believe they're about 4 months delayed. What happened there?
The delay is due to a computer company by the name of Tyler that was hired by the county 10 years ago. Unfortunately, the county board gave them $15 million up front. They were 7 years late, and there was only a $250,000 penalty clause in the contract. So there was no punishment for them to perform and to perform quickly. So sum and substance, they're late because it was a vendor who dragged his feet, and the county made a decision not to run parallel systems, which was a serious mistake. So you didn't have the old system and the new system running together. All you had was a new system that just couldn't get up and running.
That is why people don't want the government in charge of running anything. It is a level of incompetence and lack of oversight that can only come from knowing you have billions of dollars coming in every single year, no matter what. This is why private business should be in charge of running things, not the government, because their money is finite. They have to spend it effectively. They have to try and get as much value out of a single dollar as possible, because if they don't, their competitor will and will steal their market share. Only in government can you pay a vendor $15 million up front, not expect them to deliver for 7 years, and only put a $250,000 penalty in the contract. When we say government should operate like a business, we don't necessarily mean for a profit incentive. We simply mean they should be smart and efficient with how they spend money. But they never do because they don't have to. They're a monopoly that gets It's reoccurring money every single year, no matter how unsatisfied we are with their performance. The incentive in government is to spend as much money as possible and solve as few problems as possible so you can go back in the budget next year and say, hey, we need more money. They would rather have these big, huge budgets that they can spend frivolously rather than tight budgets that they have to spend meticulously. In government, if you're given $100 million to solve a problem that only requires $20 million, well, if you only use $20 million, next year they're only going to give you $20 million, and they will expect the same high standard of performance. What government does is they take that $100 million and don't even solve the $20 million problem. They go back next year and say, we actually need $200 million to solve this problem. Brandon Johnson has absolutely destroyed the city of Chicago, and the cracks are too big to ignore, and everybody is turning on him and pointing the finger before it all crumbles. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.